What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I want to discuss HEX entering the top 5 cryptocurrencies by market cap. If you enjoy this kind of HEX quantitative technical analysis, leave a thumbs up. Be subscribed by the end of the video if you aren't already. Thank you so much for 2,500 subscribers. Let's get to 2,600 next. Road to 3K by July. Hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the fact that HEX has had an amazing week. On our 1 week change here on Nomics.com, we see that we had a 42.26% increase in the price of HEX over the past 7 days, which has put us in the 5th place. So we currently have 8.45 cents per HEX as the price, and we flipped XRP first, flipped DOGE next, and finally flipped ADA to where we are now. And not by a little bit, right? We're a whole $3 billion above, which is a nice approximately 7% above it. And we are less than a 10% pump away from flipping BNB. And I have a bunch of tabs here open because I want to show you a discrepancy, right? Here on Nomics.com, we have 571 billion coins as total supply. However, when you go to something like, say, Etherscan on their tokens, ERC20 top tokens, excuse me, you see that you have only a $14 billion market cap. And why is that? Well, it's because they count the supply similar to TradingView, right? You see HEX here with a $14 billion market cap. And why is that? Well, it's because they count available coins as 173 billion or so, which the discrepancy there is major, right? 170 billion coins approximately, 570 billion coins. That's a whole 400 billion coins of discrepancy. And why is that? Well, my guess is they don't count OA coins, right? Origin address coins, which receive copies of penalties, which received copies of the AA coins, and so on, right? It received a bunch of copies. And the design purpose of this is to align incentives of this benevolent whale sort of entity with the rest of the project. So that could be a whole other video in and of itself. I won't get too much into that, but I will point out the fact that it's weird, right? Because if you actually go on the contract address and look at it on Etherscan itself, you see that they have max total supply here set as 571 billion. So they have that right, the fully diluted market cap. But weirdly enough, when you go to token tracker, in terms of sorting by market cap, it only shows 14 billion coins, which again, that discrepancy of 400 billion coins is sort of a double standard if you consider the fact that 1 million of these coins, I believe, are Satoshi's coins, which are founder coins. I believe it was a pre-mine, right? So, over time, right, over the next 10 years or so, let's say, because how old is Bitcoin, right? Let's get back on track here. So Bitcoin is approximately 13 years old, and you'll see why I'm talking about this in a second. HEX is only about 1.5 years old. Now, if you consider 3.69% inflation on your allocated supply, let me pull out my calculator real quick because this is super easy. All you have to do is type in 1.0369 and take that to the power of, let's just say, 12 years, right? Or how old is Bitcoin? Like 13 years? Let's say 13 years. So take 1.0369, which is just 100% plus 3.69% inflation, to the power of, let's say, what did I say? 13 years. Then that's a 1.6x in total supply. So if you multiply that by 571 billion, you get 914 billion, right? So if you, let's just say, the OA has 400 billion coins. Well, 400 over 571 is about 70%. So you could argue that's about 70% of the supply. However, over 12 years, right, that would become only 43% of the supply. So much, much, much less, right? Going from 70% or so to 43% or so. And this assumes little to no staking from OA and its daughter addresses. Okay, so now that we have that cleared up, you see that over time, the coins that, whether it's the founder or this controlling entity owns, will become less and less of a percentage over time of the total supply, which makes sense because it was similar to Bitcoin, for example, where at the very beginning, 1 million coins, when that's all that existed, well, Satoshi owned 100% of the supply. And then over time, as you started printing coins and supply became 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, this actual, ownership just decreases over the years. And in a way, you could argue this is a way for a founder to be a benevolent whale via incentive alignment, right, where they have a vested interest in the project, as opposed to ICOs where you get all this money up front and then you can just dump on market and you have really no incentive to build what you said you were going to build. HEX was launched complete, a finished cryptocurrency, an immutable contract, can no longer be changed, lives forever on the Ethereum blockchain and any said supporting fork of Ethereum. So just sort of to wrap up this thread, when you have centralized ownership, it can become a mechanic for nurturing the coin up until a point where it can fly away on its own. And at this point, HEX has had 100% uptime, really great price performance, outperforming the rest of crypto by multiples. And so I think it's doing a great job at being ready to fly away on its own. Like I was saying, where over time, the OA controlling percentage will become less and less, assuming little to no staking, because supply will just naturally increase with 3.69% inflation. And so you see that we are a top 5 cryptocurrency on Nomics. Once again, we've been here before, and we have an entire video saying, what would it look like? Market conditions were a little different, mind you. I think Ether was closer to 3 or 4K. Bitcoin was probably in the 50Ks. So the overall crypto market was a little more bullish when we were saying what would it take for HEX to reach top 5. But little did we know the scenario was actually going to be a decorrelated scenario where the rest of crypto just kind of crashes like we saw, and HEX actually rises from the ashes. The floor is lava, right? And so top 5 crypto on here on nomics.com, top 4 ERC20 on etherscan.io/tokens. And once again, sure, you have your market cap discrepancy, but at the end of the day, even with that, right? Even with that huge discrepancy, HEX is still top 4 on etherscan.io. And again, if you look at their contract address, you see the actual fully diluted market cap, which is $48 billion. Currently, if you go to tradingview.com/markets, you see that on the cryptocurrencies, all prices tab, you have HEX here actually sitting in the top 10. Once again, even with the market cap discrepancy where they only count 173 billion coins. You see that we currently are top 10 right above Uniswap, which again, incredible stuff. And funny enough, if you actually go to this website, you see that we are top 12 on Uniswap V2 markets pair. And something a little interesting, right? Like, this is your decentralized exchange, and this is one of the few pages within this website that was actually able to find reliable data on the prowess of HEX. If you just take a look at, I'll pull this up right here. This is just a screenshot so I can draw on it. And if you say you get rid of all the DOGE coins, which, assuming a thesis of these DOGE coins are just kind of temporary hype pump and dumps potentially. So if you remove all DOGE coins, all stable coins, and everything with the name Ethereum or Bitcoin on this top 12 Uniswap by volume chart. So once again, remove all DOGE coins. I can't believe I even have to say that. I remove all stable coins. And if you remove all coins with the name Ethereum or Bitcoin in them, then you don't end up with much, right? You end up with some random thing that I've never heard of before, or actually 2 random things that I've never heard of before, being this one, and then you have HEX. So at the end of the day, we are taking over. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but HEX is taking over. I mean, just look at this address, which I pointed out in a previous video, where our whale friend here started doubling the size of his purchases. And from the time we made that video to now, I believe Buddy has purchased another 6 million HEX or so, just nonchalantly spending another 200 Ether, just another day, right? Just another day. So yeah, that's what I wanted to get at, that we are now a top 5 cryptocurrency on Nomics, a top 4 ERC20 token on Etherscan, a top 10 crypto, number 10 crypto on TradingView, as well as top 12 by volume on Uniswap V2 on this website. So if you enjoy this kind of quantitative technical hybrid analysis on the HEX price, I know we didn't touch much on the quantitative side today, just something a little different for you guys. A little more digestible, I think. So leave a thumbs up. Be subscribed by now, most definitely. If you aren't already, let's get to 2,600 subscribers. The goal is 3,000 by July. And again, I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.